After Christmas dinner, I glanced at my phone and noticed my card had been charged for all the gifts. My dad looked at me and said, "We had a vote. Since you don't have kids, we figured you should pay for the ones who do." My hand started trembling as I picked up my phone and told him, "Well then, you're really gonna love what happens next." He actually laughed. But the next morning, my phone lit up like a fireworks show, 54 missed calls, cousins yelling, my mom pleading, and my dad begging me to undo whatever I did. And I just sat there, stunned, fork suspended in midair. "You've got to be kidding me," I said out loud, still staring at my screen. I had checked my phone under the table during dinner, thinking maybe it was a glitch. But there it was, $3,653 charged to my credit card that morning. And the itemized list? That's what really got me. Department stores. Toy shops. Online retailers. Every gift on that table had come out of my pocket. Who did this? I asked, my voice low but sharp, slicing right through the rustling gift wrap and background holiday music. My dad casually looked up from his wine like I'd just asked if the stuffing needed more salt. "We voted," he said, dead serious. "You don't have kids, so we figured it made sense for you to cover the gifts this year, for the little ones." I blinked, trying to process. He explained it like he was talking about the weather. "You don't have kids. The rest of us do. So it seemed fair." I stared at him, then at my mom, who immediately dropped her eyes to her plate. My sister kept sipping her wine, acting like nothing happened, while her twins excitedly ripped open Lego boxes I apparently bought. My cousin Peter gave me a guilty shrug. Clearly he knew it was wrong, but he wasn't about to speak up. "You used my card without telling me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You just assumed I'd pay because I'm single." My mom murmured, "You always say you don't mind helping." I almost laughed. "Helping is something I offer to do," I said. This was a backroom decision behind my back. My dad just shrugged. "Don't get so worked up. It's just money. You've got enough." My heart was thudding so hard I could barely make out his words over the pounding in my ears. I scanned the room, 12 people, most of whom hadn't called or texted me all year unless they needed something. A ride. A loan. A bailout. And now, they'd all quietly agreed that I should foot the bill for their holiday. Like I was some kind of prize for staying childless. "You've got some nerve," I muttered, standing up from my chair. "Sit down," one of my cousins snapped. "Don't ruin Christmas. The kids are having fun." "Oh, don't worry," I said, reaching for my phone. "I'm not ruining anything. I'm just pulling the plug on the performance." Dad looked amused. "What's that supposed to mean?" I met his eyes and said, "It means you're really gonna enjoy what happens next." He chuckled like I was bluffing. Like I didn't have the guts to finally draw a line. But the next day, he wasn't laughing anymore. Because by then, I'd already pressed send. And there was no going back. You don't just wake up one morning and realize your family sees you as a walking bank account. No. It happens little by little. Quietly. Like a slow leak under the floorboards, you don't notice the damage until everything collapses. It started after college. I landed a job in tech, not glamorous, just steady pay, decent benefits, and checks that didn't bounce. My sister got pregnant at 23 and moved back home. My cousin Jake dropped out of grad school and spent the next 7 years figuring things out. My parents brushed it off, saying everyone was just going through a rough patch. Meanwhile, I was the one who seemed to have it together. That's what they always told me. "You're doing great, you don't need much," my mom would say with that sweet, condescending smile. "You're lucky. You should share that luck." Sandy once said that as she took a rent check from me for her son's apartment. It started small, covering school supplies, sending gas money for someone's job interview, pitching in for a birthday gift I never agreed to. But then it became non-stop. When my brother John lost his job, I paid 6 months of his rent. When cousin Rose decided to start her own business, I covered her Shopify fees and bought her entire first round of inventory. She sold 2 items. Never brought it up again. Uncle Matt had a health scare and no insurance. Guess who paid the hospital bill? Yep, me. And you know what? I didn't complain. Not at first. I kept telling myself, this is what family does. But here's the truth, family doesn't hand you the knife and then act like you should be grateful for the wound. They bled me dry. And I let them. The worst part, they acted like they were doing me a favor. You get to feel good about helping. Your name's on the group card. That's special. Don't be so uptight, we're family. Not one of them ever said thank you. Not once. And it wasn't just the money. It was my time, my energy, my emotional bandwidth. I was the go-to guy for everything, default babysitter, backup emergency contact, the he'll help person. One Christmas Eve, I came down with the flu and texted my mom to let her know I wasn't going to make it. Her reply: "Okay, but can you still send the gifts? The kids are counting on you." I remember sitting on my bathroom floor, wrapped in a blanket, feverish and lightheaded, just staring at that message and thinking, why is it that they only seem to remember I exist when there's a bill involved? But the real turning point, the moment everything started unraveling, that came 3 months before Christmas dinner. I had taken my niece to a local bookstore and told her she could pick out whatever she wanted. An hour and a half later and about $160 down, she walked out with a bag full of art supplies, hardcover books, and a big, floppy stuffed sloth she named Slumpy. She was glowing with joy. Honestly, I felt good too, like I'd done something simple and kind. But that feeling didn't last long. When I dropped her off, my sister glanced at the sloth and asked, "Where's that from?" I smiled and said, "She picked it out today." She frowned and said, "You're spoiling her. You think you're the fun uncle just because you have money?" I blinked, caught off guard. "What?" I asked. She rolled her eyes and muttered, "Maybe put less into toys and more into developing a personality." It hit me so hard I almost laughed. I'd just given up an entire weekend, time I could have spent resting, dating, literally doing anything else, to hang out with her daughter. And instead of gratitude, I got mocked. Like being generous made me pathetic. That's when the illusion cracked. Not theirs, mine. I saw them clearly for the first time. People like that. They wear the costume of family, but underneath, they're just takers. Guilt is their currency. Respect, that was never part of the deal. Truthfully, I don't even think most of them liked me. I wasn't a son or a brother or a cousin to them, I was a resource. A walking ATM in a family group photo. Then came December. Around mid-November, the family group chat started buzzing about Christmas plans. As usual, the expectation was that I'd host again, buy all the gifts again, and play Santa with a credit card again. But this time, I was ready to say no. I mean it, I was done. Then my dad sent me a text. "Just me, not the group. You're really good at this stuff. Why don't you just handle the gifts again? We'll pay you back later." Except, they never did. Not last year. Not the year before that. So I responded, blunt and cold, "Only if we agree ahead of time who's paying for what." He left me on read. Never said a word for the next 3 weeks. For a minute, I thought maybe the silence meant they finally got the message. Maybe they'd figured out I wasn't playing the same role this year. I was wrong. Turns out, they just used my backup credit card instead. A card I'd given my mom a long time ago, back when, just in case, still seemed like a reasonable idea. She still had the number. And apparently, she'd handed it out. Because the statement that hit my inbox showed charges from 5 different stores, none of them anywhere near her. She hadn't bought a thing. But the others? They'd gone shopping on my dime. And when I confronted them at Christmas dinner, they laughed. Seriously. They laughed. Dad looked me dead in the eye and said, "We voted. You don't have kids, so you should pay for the ones who do." Like it was reasonable. Like it was some kind of democratic process. Like I didn't have a right to say no. That was the moment it really sunk in, they believed it. They honestly thought I existed to make their lives easier. That because I didn't have kids of my own, I owed them something. Like being child-free meant I had to subsidize everyone else's real family. My time, my peace of mind, my money, it was all seen as optional. Expendable. And when I stood up and said, "You're really gonna love what comes next," they didn't flinch. Dad even chuckled. Because to them, I was all talk. I'd never actually draw a line. That night, I barely slept. But it wasn't guilt keeping me up. I hadn't fully reached the part where I felt free. But I wasn't stuck anymore either. I lay there wide awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every petty jab, every guilt trip, every time they made me feel like I was somehow less than for not living their version of adulthood. Kids. Debt. Domestic chaos. That was their badge of honor. And me? I was just extra. But as the sun started to rise, casting that soft orange light across the ceiling, something shifted in me. The hesitation faded. What filled its place wasn't just anger, it was clarity. If they wanted to treat this like a democracy, fine. Let's play that game. I opened my laptop. Typed up a message. Subject line, holiday contribution changes. Body. Effective immediately, I will no longer be providing financial support for anything related to our extended family. That includes, but is not limited to, Christmas presents, birthday gifts for kids or adults, tuition payments, mortgage gaps, emergency Venmos, vet bills, car repairs, or subscription renewals. If you've already used my credit cards, prepare for a chargeback. If you've saved or shared my card info without permission, prepare to hear from someone in legal. You had your vote. Here's mine. Merry Christmas. The childless one. And then, without another thought, I hit send. Send it to all of them. Every single name in that group chat got the email, my parents, my sister, all 6 cousins. Even my aunt, the one who still brings up how she babysat me once when I was 4, like I owe her for life. After I hit send, I powered off my phone. It took them exactly 7 hours and 16 minutes to crack. When I finally turned my phone back on, it felt like it exploded in my hand. 53 missed calls. A flood of texts. Voicemails stacked up. Some of them were from crying relatives, others were borderline threats. One of my cousins actually texted that he was considering suing me for emotional distress. My mom left me a message that started with, "I'm heartbroken," and ended with, "This is beyond disappointing." And my dad? He called a dozen times. His final voicemail was just one sentence, spoken low and desperate. "Please, for the love of God, don't do this." But it was already too late. The wheels were in motion. By the time they figured out what I meant by chargeback, I'd already called my bank and spoken to a real person. They approved the fraud claim. Over $3,600 in unauthorized charges were now officially flagged. All those Barbie dream houses and Nerf sniper rifles. Frozen. The iPads and gift boxes. Returned to sender. And just to be extra thorough, I went ahead and froze the emergency credit card too, the one I'd foolishly left active for, just in case, scenarios. So when Cousin Rose tried to use it that night to book a hotel room, declined. Twice. The fallout was immediate and ugly. The next day, I got a call from my uncle. One of the few family members who never asked for money, but also never stood up when the rest of them did. His voice was low and heavy. "Your mom's been crying non-stop," he said. "She says you ruined Christmas." I didn't flinch. "No," I said calmly, "they ruined it the moment they turned it into a transaction. They were just overwhelmed," he offered weakly. I cut him off. "No. They weren't overwhelmed. They were entitled. Big difference." There was a long pause. Then he asked, "You're really charging everyone back?" "I already did," I replied. He sighed, slow and tired. "Well, I can't say they didn't deserve it." Then he hung up. That was the last decent conversation I had with anyone in the family for a while. The real showdown came 3 days later. I pulled into my driveway after work and there they were, waiting on my porch like some twisted intervention. My mom, my dad, and my sister Lucy, arms folded tight across her chest, wearing a look like she'd just bitten into a lemon soaked in battery acid. "Can we talk?" my mom asked, her voice already cracking. I unlocked the front door. "Say what you need to say. We didn't mean for it to go down like that," she rushed out. "We just thought." "What?" I snapped. "That I'd quietly pay the tab again. Smile and nod while you emptied my wallet and called it tradition. Pour me some eggnog while you robbed me blind." Dad tried to step in, playing peacemaker. "Son, let's not turn this into a war. We're family." I laughed, loud and bitter. "You declared war the moment you stole from me and called it a group decision. That wasn't family, that was betrayal." Lucy rolled her eyes hard enough I thought she'd sprain something. "Oh my God, are you seriously still going on about this? It's not like we drained your life savings." I snapped. "I paid for your car last summer." "That was different," she shot back. "You knew I couldn't drive with a cracked windshield. You offered to help." "No," I said. "You said you'd pay me back." She scoffed. "You make 6 figures. You'll survive." And that was the moment I stepped closer and said, "That's exactly why this ends here. Because to all of you, I'm not a brother or a son. I'm a walking bank account who occasionally shows up with a casserole." My mom's eyes welled with tears. "We just wanted to make Christmas special for the kids. So you steal from me?" I said. Dad finally snapped. "Enough. This is ridiculous. You need to fix this. Undo the chargebacks. Now." I stared at him, completely still. He switched tactics. "Think about how this looks," he said, tone dropping to something darker. "What do you want people to say? That you betrayed your family over some toys?" I didn't even blink. "No. I want them to say I finally found my spine." And then I said the one sentence that shattered everything. "I'm done with all of you." My mom gasped like I'd slapped her. Lucy screamed something I don't remember. And my dad turned the color of drywall. "I've already blocked your numbers," I said. "And this weekend? I'm moving to another state. Alone." The silence that followed was perfect. I opened the front door and said, "Now get off my porch." The first 2 days after that confrontation were dead quiet. And honestly, they were amazing. No calls. No passive-aggressive guilt texts. No sudden, family updates masking another plea for money. For the first time in years, I could actually breathe. I sat on the floor with a cup of coffee, a blanket, and some random chill playlist, just letting it all sink in. Nobody was leaning on me. No one expected me to rescue them. It was just me. And it was peaceful. But I know my family. They don't take losing their favorite donor lying down. By day 3, the manipulation started creeping back in, right on schedule. "Maybe we should talk like adults. Your mom's sick from the stress. Are you happy now? The kids keep asking why Uncle Ghost doesn't call anymore." Yeah, I saw the messages. All of them. I didn't respond. Because I knew the truth, they didn't miss me. They missed what I gave. The free rides. The safety net. The endless, no questions asked generosity. But then came something I didn't see coming. A message from Jake. "My cousin. I messed up. Can we talk?" I didn't answer. But an hour later, he was at my front door. And something about him looked different. Not the usual version of Jake, the sleep-deprived, sarcastic, hoodie-dragging guy who always smelled faintly of stale weed and regret. No, this time he was cleaned up, hair brushed, wearing a blazer, even a watch. It was like he was playing the role of functional adult cousin. "I enrolled in some online courses," he said. "Marketing. I've been working with a friend. Trying to get my life together. For real." I didn't say anything. I just watched him. Then, after a long pause, he said, "I was jealous of you." That caught me off guard. "I lashed out because you had something I didn't," he continued. "No chaos. No kids. No noise. Just stability. And I hated that." I tilted my head slightly. "You here to ask for money?" I said. His eyes widened. "No. God, no. I just came to say I'm not living in your shadow anymore." And for a moment, just a flicker, I actually believed him. He left shortly after. But 30 minutes later, my bank sent me an alert. Someone was trying to reset the password on my online account. Guess who? Yep. Jake. He hadn't changed. He'd just rehearsed. He hadn't come to apologize. He came to test the waters. To see if I still bought the tears. If I still believed the act. I locked everything down immediately. Every password. Froze the backup card again. Notified my bank. That was the last time any of them got anywhere near my life. And then came freedom. I ended my lease. Accepted a new job in another state. More pay. Fresh start. A new apartment. And not a single relative within 400 miles. But you know what the best part was? It wasn't the job. Or the moving truck. Or the clean slate. It was the message I got from Jane, Jake's wife. I saw what he did. "I'm filing for divorce. And thank you. You were the only one who ever actually helped." That one hit me harder than I expected. She knew. This whole time, she saw it all. The leeching. The lies. The way they drained me. But she stayed quiet. Until now. And for the first time, I wondered, maybe this choice I made. Maybe it wasn't just for me. Maybe choosing myself gave someone else the courage to choose herself too. Before I left town, I dropped one final message in the family group chat. The same one that had always blown up around the holidays. I renamed it. "This bank has permanently closed. Try loving instead." Then I hit leave chat. As I drove out of town, car packed to the ceiling with cardboard boxes and windows down, music blasting, I felt it. I was alone. But for once, that didn't feel like punishment. It felt like freedom. It's funny how quiet life gets when you cut out the people who never actually heard you. After I moved, changed my number, blocked every single one of them, the silence didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like peace. Real, deep, full-bodied peace. No more, can you cover rent this month? No more guilt bombs disguised as checking in. No more text alerts with names that only showed up when a bill came due. They were gone. Not just missing, cut off. For the first time since I was old enough to earn a paycheck, I wasn't tethered to anyone else's survival. And for the first time, I was surviving on my terms. I found a new apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was all mine. My rules. My budget. My name on the lease. The fridge only had stuff I liked. The furniture was second-hand but solid. That first night, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Not because I expected a call, because I finally knew I wouldn't get one. And let me tell you, there's a healing that happens in that kind of quiet. In not having to explain yourself. In not needing to justify your boundaries. In not second-guessing everything with, am I being too harsh? No. You're not being harsh. You're being free. They tried, of course. New numbers. Blocked contacts. Voicemails I didn't listen to. One even made a burner Instagram account and messaged me. Come home. We're family. Enough is enough. I actually laughed. Enough is enough. That's what I said when you all voted to steal from me and laughed about it. That's what I said when my own father told me I should do more because I didn't have kids. That's what I said when Jake showed up, pretended to change, then tried to access my bank account. But now enough isn't a cry for help. It's a line. A boundary. A brick wall you don't get to climb. And here's the thing, it's a boundary none of them will ever cross again. I started therapy. I told my therapist everything. Every detail. Every betrayal. Every time they made me feel like a debit card in human form. She didn't even blink. She just nodded gently and said, "We're conditioned to believe that love must be earned through sacrifice." That sentence landed like a stone in my chest. Because that's exactly what it was. They trained me to think that unless I gave something, money, time, peace, I wasn't worth anything. That if I wasn't sacrificing a part of myself, I didn't belong. I wasn't family. And that's not love. That's control. They didn't care. They manipulated. And I finally got out. People ask me now, do you regret it? Do you regret cutting them off? Not even a little. I only regret not doing it years earlier. I regret every birthday party I secretly funded, only to never receive an invite. I regret the nights I canceled my own plans to drive across town and help because someone forgot to pay their electric bill, again. I regret being the one who remembered every cousin's kid's birthday while mine came and went like it never existed. I regret letting them convince me that I was the selfish one, that I was the problem. Now, I don't flinch when I think of them. Not even a flicker of guilt. They made their decision when they chose to see me as a wallet, not a person. They voted. And now, so did I. Unanimous decision, cut off. But here's the twist they never saw coming. I'm thriving. I'm doing better than I ever did when I was trapped in their emotional and financial web. I got a promotion at work. I started traveling for fun, not just out of obligation. I'm dating someone now, someone who doesn't want anything from me except my time and honesty. I've picked up hobbies I had forgotten about. Photography, real cooking, not just late-night takeout eaten hunched over a desk. I adopted a dog. Her name is Balance. She's calm, loyal, and never asks me for anything but affection. Which, honestly, is more than I ever got from most of my relatives. And just when I thought the story was over, I got a text from an unknown number. He's out. We're getting divorced. I just wanted you to know. It was Jane. Jake's ex-wife now. She finally left him. Turns out, my cousin's so-called transformation had an expiration date. She told me later that he spiraled, lost his job, started drinking, and blew through whatever savings he had left. She even discovered he was still trying to use my old bank details, again, even after getting caught. You were the only one who ever saw him clearly, she said. I didn't believe you before. But I do now. That hit different. Because that's when I realized, this wasn't just about walking away. It wasn't just about me protecting myself. It was about refusing to live inside their delusion. Sometimes when you leave, when you finally draw that hard boundary, you don't just save yourself. You give someone else the permission to see the truth, too. I didn't lose a family. I escaped a con. So when people ask, what happened with your family? I just smile and say, I used to be the one who paid for Christmas. Now I'm the one who saved myself from it. And I wouldn't trade that freedom for anything. Not ever.